Cool. So we are live on Facebook and we are recording. Awesome. So welcome, everybody. If you're tuning in live or if you're watching this on the replay in the Whole Health Project Facebook group. So I'm here with my dear friend, Jess Drago. Thank you for joining us, Jess. And we've just come to have a little chat about the breast coach training. So Jess is just sort of wrapping up her time with us in the breast coach training. And I wanted to bring Jess on to have a little chat about her experience and why she signed up, what she gained from the experience. But first, just a little kind of background info. So Jess and I have been friends for about a year now. We've actually never met in person, which is why
soon to happen though. I believe it'll happen at some point.
It totally will. I feel that it probably would have happened sooner if you know, the skies hadn't shut down. But Jess and I met through a coaching program that we are both enrolled in. And we were encouraged at the very start of the coaching program to kind of put our hands up to reach out for accountability partners or success partners. And sort of, ironically enough, both Jess and I, and I'm sure probably most of the other students who were enrolled in the program, had like huge resistance to reaching out for accountability partners. Like I myself am a confessed recovering lone wolf. And I think Jess is kind of pretty similar, but we both were like, no, we're in this program to push ourselves forward. Like that's why we've invested so much freaking money in this program, is to like take us to our edge and like get uncomfortable in a really positive way. So we both were like, oh yeah, I would like an accountability partner, and we both put our hands up at the same time. We kind of met on a few common factors, but one of which being mums to like young sort of infant children. Jess is in the US.
There's been like small children in the background of several of our calls.
Totally. Yeah, we've been getting super real with you know, sort of supporting each other whilst like on the business journey, but also on the kind of motherhood journey. And yeah, so we've basically been meeting like probably like nearly every week, sometimes every other week for the last year. And it's been a really sort of beautiful connection and relationship and sort of support system, which has blossomed into a really awesome friendship. And at some point, we're really excited to actually meet in person. And then Jess recently signed up to our 25-hour breast coach training. And so she had a really awesome experience. And I really wanted to bring Jess on to talk about her experience because she's a really experienced yoga teacher. So last week, Shriyanka came on, who was kind of brand new in the whole kind of health and wellness industry, pretty much. She had some background in like free diving, but otherwise she was not a yoga teacher. She didn't have any experience with that, whereas Jess is like really experienced in yoga and is a coach. So I wanted to kind of talk to her about her experience coming into it from that perspective. So thank you, Jess. Lovely to have you here. So just tell us first, like, I mean, obviously you heard about the Whole Health Project through us being friends, but what ultimately inspired you to take the breath coach training? So kind of give us a little bit of a background as to like what you have been doing, particularly sort of professionally, like where you were at with your kind of yoga practice, your yoga teaching, and how like paint a picture of like your life a little bit as to like why then this became interesting to you to jump onto the breath coach training.
Yeah, I'm super excited to share because this breath coach training has really impacted my life. And so I'm really excited to dive into the particulars of that. And what I guess I have to back up to start my story with, I really decided in the spring of 2019, after my first son was born, my child was born, that I noticed that even with a decade of yoga training, that I needed to up level my habits, up level my tools to regulate my nervous system, up level the conversations that my brain was being allowed to have inside of me. And that's, you know, back to what you said, that's how we kind of met, is through a really wonderful coaching program that started my next step in my healing process. And what's really beautiful about motherhood is that between owning a business and having a small child, like all my stuff totally came to the surface. And I got really excited when you told me about this training because, well, first of all, I adore you, and I was excited to get to know Lucy because you've spoken really highly of her skills as well. And I knew that I needed to up my breath game. Like I really needed to deepen my breath practice. And even with the skills that I had in yoga and the decade I've been teaching, and even with my coaching background, I wanted more languaging around it, and I really wanted the opportunity to create a consistent practice. So something that I work with a lot of like fellow healthcare practitioners. Like I work with a lot of other wellness pros who are like, I have the tools, I have these skills, I know about meditation, I know about breath work, but I'm just not doing it every day. And so that was like, okay, it's time. I need to really up level this amazing tool that we have. Because I mean, let's be real, it's not always appropriate to be like, okay, everybody stop, I'm gonna go into downward facing dog to do
take a quick child's pose, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I need to, lay on the floor for a second. Can you just like hold up? That's not always appropriate. And so I was really excited to have this skill set for myself and also to be able to share it with other people. And that was what really caught my attention, is that this wasn't just a training that I was going to use to expand on what already I wanted to experience from my breath practice, but it was also giving me tools to share with other people with languaging and structure around it to be able to create my own course, which has already happened. Like even within weeks of completing it, I've already been able to use these tools to create my own course. So, I mean, I think that really speaks to the tools that you and Lucy offer in the breath training.
Amazing, amazing. And I mean, I totally resonate with that, especially as an experienced practitioner. We have so many tools, but then it's actually kind of implementing some of them and then recognizing, like, it's also this evolution, right? One of the things that I often talk about is as I kind of got into my like physical practice of yoga and then became a teacher, I was very much focused on the body, which is obviously a beautiful focus, and it's not one that we then want to just set aside. It's not like, right, cool, I've done the body, what's next? We're always keeping our awareness there. But for me, it was this like, wow, okay, I'm starting to kind of really kind of master my body, and I'm going to continue to like develop that relationship. But now let's move into this subtler realm, which is kind of a little bit of what you're talking about, right? We all know we have a breath, and many of us know that there's a lot of power within the breath. And then, as you say, it's taking that tool and taking that curiosity and kind of putting them together and really starting to dive into this energetic realm, to bring ourselves more tools, as you say, because it's not always practical to lie down in the middle of a supermarket when your kid's having a meltdown, or to go into
I really hope we eventually live in a world where, if somebody wanted to like take child pose in the middle of the supermarket, people would just be like, oh, she needs child pose for a second. And it would be a social norm, but that's just not the case at this time.
I literally just before this call got off a call where I was teaching breath actually on a virtual retreat of a friend of mine called Mother the Mother. And it was a retreat for mothers, and I was doing some breath practice about kind of alchemizing emotions. And one of the things that my friend who's the facilitator said at the end, like we were talking literally about this, like what can we do when like shit's hitting the fan and we're in public, to help ourselves to navigate this. And we were talking about the different breath practices that we could do, but she also said, wouldn't it be amazing to live in a world where in all cities you had to have hammocks strung up where mothers can just go and like pause for a moment if they need to pause. So like I feel that there's a movement happening where maybe one day we will live in a society where that's totally okay. But until that point, we have the breath, right? Which is what's, which is what this is about. And ultimately, we all have a breath. And so there's so much power within that. So before we get on to what you're doing with your breath course, because that's so freaking exciting, what were some of your big kind of like aha moments or revelations during the training? And what I kind of recall about some of the conversations that we had kind of before you signed up or as you were signing up was that you have a really strong like asana practice, and it's really been a strong focus of yours. With your own practice, I know that you love dance, you're super movement focused, and obviously your awareness has started to shift more into this energetic realm. So what sort of alchemized and happened for you during the course on like a personal level with regards to the breath?
Yeah, well, it's kind of sweet because here I am, signed up for this breath course, knew I needed it, and finally you and Lucy are like, you have to complete it by this day. And I was like, oh, I should probably get going on that. So I really appreciated that there was a lot of structure in place that kept me from over procrastinating, because there's just never a convenient time to say yes to your next step in your personal growth. And I think that's something to throw out there right away. Like if you're ever thinking, oh gosh, should I like take this course and it's just not convenient or it's not the right time. And I agree that there sometimes are genuinely bad or really maybe not a wise time, I guess not bad, but not a wise time to say yes to something. But I don't believe that convenience should be necessarily one of those factors, because it just never is convenient. So coincidentally, I had a lot go on in my personal life as I was, to paraphrase it, I had a lot go on. I totally, like the universe totally kicked my butt. It was like family emergencies, and then I had an injury, and then me and my partner had this ceremony, all like in a span of 4 weeks. Like this all happened in a very short amount of time, and I got really nervous because I have dealt with some really serious autoimmune issues, and I know that when I get stressed out, that my body's in pain. Like I experience all sorts of stuff in my skin, I experience stuff in my gut, I experience stuff in my head. Like the cost of me not having tools to regulate my nervous system has been extremely high. So that's one of the reasons I was like, I've got to learn how to use my breath and have these tools. And sure enough, like just as I was getting into the rhythm of having a daily practice, I totally had my world rocked. And what's really beautiful is I had yet to have, and even now I don't have any major symptoms of autoimmune stuff that I have had in the past with substantially less stressful situations. So that was a huge win for me. That was a big aha of like, oh my gosh, I swear to God, I'm not being like paid to say these things. It's like just genuinely, I get really excited about it, but it's genuinely my experience. And I get excited because I know, as somebody who struggled with some serious health issues, I know what it feels like to be in pain. And as a mother and as a businesswoman, especially because I'm a businesswoman and my profession is in coaching and yoga and wellness. And so I'm holding a lot of space for other people's healing paths, that in addition to the cost of dealing with autoimmune issues just personally, it also affects my relationships and my business and my client. And so to be able to hold space for the things that were happening and have continued to happen in my life that are pretty intense, and know that I have this skill set that I show up to every day has made just all the difference. I'm thinking clearer again. My body feels really great. So my big aha was like, oh my gosh, this actually like works. And I have been like, I know that one of the things I've struggled with is like, I'll believe it when I see it, you know. And sure enough, the universe is like, oh, you want to know if the breath is important here? Let's shake your world. Let's shake your world a bit, and then you can see what happens. So that was my aha, is that implementing these tools before crisis hits, because let's like be real, it's going to happen. Like our crisis in life, like it's going to happen. It's a part of being alive, and to implement these tools before that and to be able to hold them during challenging times is just, I mean, I definitely feel like I got my money's worth and some more out of this experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, this really mirrors again what I was just talking about on this virtual retreat before our call, is that it's really important that we bring these tools in, you know, not just when the crisis is happening, because it's much harder to bring them in, right? Because, you know, when a crisis is happening, like our head's typically all over the place. It's like we're kind of in this like really kind of narrow thinking, like kind of not even bubble, like this kind of corridor, right? So it's really hard to them to be more kind of like, okay, what do I need? What are the tools? Like, how do I do that again? Which breath practice is best suited? So we want to bring them in, like when things are calm, so that they kind of embed into our sort of physiology and into our neurology, so that then when the crisis hits, it's like, oh yeah, there's this one, boom, let's pull that out. Like it's ready to go, like it's already imprinted in my body. So I know like what to be doing, rather than that kind of like, oh shit, which one was it? Like, oh, I'll try again next time. I'll try again next time. But when the next crisis comes, I'll try it again. So that's like, it's just such a great example of putting the practice and the work in, like before shit hits the fan, so that, as you say,
It will, because it will, right?
That it hits the fan, because it does. You know, we've actually like we're really well prepared. So yeah, I totally respect and honor you for that. Like, that's awesome.
I think what also was really helpful is that this course, I love how you and Lucy laid out, okay, so on one hand, we've got these calming breath techniques, which is more what the course that I'm now, mini course that I'm offering is more based on the calming techniques. And then over here, we have these like energizing breath techniques. And I thought that that was also really sweet, because sometimes when I step into the time I have carved out for my breath practice in the mornings, I don't always know what I want like the day of until I sit down and I tune into that. So what's really cool is that I love how this course prepared me to use my own innate wisdom to check in and say, you know, I'm kind of fatigued right now. So like Kapalabhati is not going to be like, I'm not going to exert that extra energy because I didn't sleep well. I'm going to lay on like belly down prone, and I'm going to belly breathe. Like that's, I've done a lot of like really basic belly breathing, and it has been amazing. So that's something that I really loved about the course, is it gave me tools to be like, okay, I can open my toolbox and decide which tool is most appropriate for me at that time.
Beautiful. Yeah, I totally hear you in that. And that's just why gathering these tools is so important, but practicing them as well, right? Which is a part, like a fundamental part of the course, is that you have to do a personal practice, right? You can't just whip through the practices and then just kind of do a quick exam at the end. It's like, you know, you've got to experience them, right? To be able to really recognize, like, of course, like we categorize them. We like, these are uplifting breaths, these are calming breaths. And you need to experience that, because it might be that you have a slightly different experience. So it's like, once we've experienced it, it's like, oh, well, that one worked really well in this situation, or that one works really well in this situation. And as you know, as I talk about quite often, is that, you know, we have a breath practice for pretty much anything. You know, you want to experience a particular emotion or a particular sort of energetic experience, like there is a breath practice for it. So as soon as we start to feel it in our body and it's like, oh wow, that took me from feeling like this to feeling like this, it's like, cool, okay, well next time I'm feeling like this, I want to feel more like this. Now I know what to do, which is just so freaking empowering, right? You know.
Yeah, and that's it really, I think it's just it's one more opportunity to take responsibility for
Yeah.
our experience
Yeah,
on this planet.
totally. And that is just ultimately the most empowering thing that we can do, right? I mean, it stops that kind of blame game, it stops the victimization. It really allows us to step into our own power and, like, say, take total responsibility of like our own emotions, our own experience, and our own reality, which are like, I just love that topic. I think it's amazing. So tell us about this course. So just to put it into context. So Jess signed up in May, I think it was, when we launched this one. And as she said, she sort of started and then kind of stopped. And then we send a reminder to everybody that hasn't kind of graduated at a certain point, and we're like, hey, just a heads up, you've got a month left, which I think was when Jess was like, oh shit, I've got a month left. So then kind of dived into it. And she hasn't quite certified yet. She's like about this far away. She's just got to like do one more thing.
I have to just send in my toggle reports. They're like literally sitting in a draft email. I have to just send them.
I mean,
But it's the toggle. Can I just like mention that? Something that's really cool is, so like Lucy and Rachel put together in the course where you have to keep track of it, of your practices. And I found that to be kind of challenging to remind myself to like, oh, I'm doing my practice, I should probably log it in the toggle app. But what I loved about it is that it really did hold me accountable to get the momentum to keep going in the practice, that now it's just like it became second nature to sit down for me and to practice. So that was, I wanted to throw that out there, that I think that you can go online, you can Google all these breath techniques that you guys offered. Anybody can do that, but there's not that level of accountability and introspection that is offered in this course. Like, you're not going to find that by just YouTubing, Nadi Shinada. Like, you can YouTube it, but you're not going to have somebody be like, hey, how's the course going for you? And actually creating a structure to build that momentum.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. So yeah, so Jess says she's very, very almost like got her certificate, but before she even has, she's already launched her own breath course. So just to give you an idea, of course, like Jess, Jess already is a wellness practitioner. She's a yoga teacher and a coach. But I'm just really inspired, and obviously the wisdom that she's kind of gained from being in this course and having the experience and putting the work in and really showing up for herself has resulted in you launching your own breath course. So tell us a little bit about that.
It's called Stress to Rest Calming Breath Course. And so I was really inspired. I'm so excited. And I was inspired because, kind of like what I shared, I started to get my ass kicked towards the end of taking this course. Like, the universe gave me every opportunity to practice, and I was like, gosh, I really want to share this information. And I know for a lot of people, especially this year has been challenging. It's been given us these maybe additional challenges that we didn't have before. And I wanted to help inspire people. So something that Lucy and Rachel talked about is getting more specific about, like, okay, who do I want to help? And this is mostly for people in leadership roles. So like parents, managers, entrepreneurs, people who are in leadership, where those stakes are high when you have other people relying on you. I think that's something so important if you're in a place of leadership. And yes, parenting is a place of leadership. It's like the ultimate place of leadership, I think. that when you have people relying on you, it is an opportunity to really step into the best version of yourself. And I know the best version of myself is not like stressed out when things get really hard. Like that's something that I was able to see with the challenges that arose towards the end of me taking this course. And I wanted to share that. So I was like, gosh, what can I offer? And so I built this two-week class. It actually is down into like 4 modules. So there's only 2 modules a week. And I was really inspired by the way that Rachel and Lucy put together the practice and really had students practice. So instead of having, every single day you have to watch a video, I have it that you watch a video on one day and then you wait 3 or 4 days and then you get another email with the tutorial for the next one. And the idea is that before someone moves on to the next breath technique, they actually have a couple days to really practice it, because knowing is just not enough. Like the cognitive. And again, that's why I'm so excited about talking about your breath courses, because I taught yoga for so long, like over a decade I've been teaching yoga. So I know about meditation, I know about breath work. And it still was not a automatic response for me to drop into my breath practice when things got challenging, because I hadn't put in the time to practice it. So this breath course really emphasizes the practice aspect of it. I have a practice tracker that people fill out, kind of inspired by your guys' toggle sheets. Like, hey, like write it down, journal, see what comes up. Take the time to do that. And obviously this is substantially less than 25 hours. But yeah, it's a two-week breath course that specifically focuses on regulating the nervous system by using calming breath. So there's a lot of things that, like in your course, that you wouldn't see, because it's a different type of breath. And maybe at some point I'll have the 2-week uplifting breath course or something like that. But for now, I'm excited about helping people chill out.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so beyond this, like what do you feel is next?
Oh man.
Do you have any insights, or like where
for the course or other things that I'm involved in?
However you feel like answering it. Maybe with a little bit like bearing in mind now that you've done the breath course, like how do you feel like maybe that those learnings and those teachings might kind of integrate into like what you continue to do?
I am super stoked to have this skill to offer to people, because my deep passion is helping myself to be a better leader, so a better businesswoman, a better entrepreneur, a better mom. And that's something that really brings me joy, is to help other people really refine their leadership skills. And I know that if you're a stressed out leader, you're not an effective leader. You're not only ineffective, but you actually can be doing a lot of damage towards the people that rely on you if you're not showing up and stepping into your potential. If stress is getting in the way of that, it doesn't work. So that's like my ultimate vision, is to continue to like refine my leadership skills and help other leaders. And I think really what's next is continuing to use this as also a stepping stone towards my coaching. So I have the other big program that I run is called the Wellness Adventure course. And it's an annual course rooted in yogi habits. And that's kind of this course is it's a big commitment when I work with somebody for that amount of time. And so I'm excited to have skills to help people address stress in their life before I work with them long term. That was something that really became apparent when I enrolled people through my annual pass. Is I'm like, gosh, I would like to have something, maybe a lower dollar item that has substantial value, that can help people really step into their potential by addressing how they deal with stress and giving them tools for that. And obviously, like, as I shared, I know it works. Never experienced more like intensity in that short amount of time than like the month of August in my life. And I've done some crazy stuff. That's a different call. I've dealt with some crazy things in my day, but that was like really intense. So I know it works, and it's really exciting to be able to offer this to people at this time, because what I've seen in response to what's going on in the world and so much change happening is that a lot of people don't know how to deal with change, rapid, intense change in a short amount of time. And it can either be like the opportunity that we can step into the ownership of our superpowers, like the breath, or it could be where we decide to spiral down and step into old patterns that leave us depleted. And if you're in a place of leadership, there's not just responsibility to yourself, but that means that there's responsibility that you have to other people in your life. And that's why I'm so passionate about what you and Lucy have to offer, is because it definitely gave me tools to help people who maybe weren't ready to coach with me for an entire year because their mind and their body and their being just are not in a place to receive yet what I have to offer. And I was like, gosh, where do I send them? What do I do? I want to help these people who just need to like chill the hell out and practice breathing and do it over and over and over. And it's, again, I know like a breath practice, like it sounds kind of rudimentary, but it's like so powerful. And that's what got me really excited, is I'm like, gosh, now I have this amazing gift that I can share with clients who maybe aren't ready for the annual pass in the Wellness Adventure course, or who maybe just need to explore their breath for a while, or maybe aren't interested in a whole year of coaching and just want to focus on like, okay, 2020 is like bringing up my stuff, and now I have a deep desire to up level.
Totally. Thank you for sharing that. And there isn't anybody that can't benefit from building a closer relationship to their breath, basically. We all need that tool. Like, we all need that awareness. We don't know what we don't know, and this is another conversation I have pretty frequently, is and what we talk about on the course, right, is that the majority of adults have breathing dysfunctions to some degree. And if you don't know that you have a dysfunction, well, you don't know you've got a dysfunction, so you literally can't resolve it. So it's just a pattern that's in your body. And what we're doing by focusing on the breath is we're literally shining the light of awareness on these dysfunctions or on how we breathe, and therefore through that awareness we start to like heal and fix and change and evolve and alchemize, which is the whole part of this journey of life, right?
Yeah, totally. And it's just one of those things that I think also makes finding your niche, or as they say in America, niche. Finding your niche, it's a horrible way that we pronounce things. I take full responsibility. But yeah, I can see how finding like your niche can be more challenging because everybody can benefit from that. But if you're like a practitioner, if you're watching this and you're like, gosh, I'm already a practitioner, and you know that, and you don't even have to already be a practitioner. If you're like, gosh, I want to like really share this, I do encourage you to get clear with, yes, breath can help everybody, but you're not going to be everybody's breath coach. You're not going to be the person to share all the things with all the people. You can totally free yourself from that responsibility and get clear with what you really, really want to help, and getting clear with like, gosh, I really want to work with people in leadership, even though I know breath can help every single person out there was also really liberating. So I know it's a little unsolicited advice, but it's definitely something that helped me out a lot before I dove into the breath course. I got really clear before I made my course, like, who do I want to help?
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you sharing your time with us and with our community. So after the call, just feel free to put like your kind of contact details below, like your Instagram, details of your breath course, wellness adventure course. So if anybody's interested to check you out or to come and say hi, then they can do so. But otherwise, just thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I love you. I love our connection. I love how easily conversation flows. So thank you for being here.
So good. Thank you so much, Rachel. And I know Lucy's not here, but thank you, Lucy, for that amazing course. You two are awesome.
You too, love. Awesome. Well, have a beautiful day. And thank you, everybody, for watching, whether you're watching live or the replay. Comment below if you have any aha moments, if you've got any questions for us or for Jess, and we'll get back to you. Awesome. All right. See ya.